All right, guys, welcome to Wide Awake News Radio. I am your host, one of the four we're rolling with tonight, Charlie McGrath. It is the 4th day of June. It is my inaugural program on the new format, and tonight this is an idea Eric had last week, and it's a really good one. We're going to have as many hosts, all the hosts. Rather, except for Gary, who's off on a project. I did talk to him, and I got a message that I can deliver from him. But we're gonna have all the guests on, or all the hosts on, and we're gonna reintroduce the audience to each one of them. You probably know them all because they've all either been with Wide Awake News Radio for a long time, or like Woody, they've been guests multiple times. But we're gonna talk about not necessarily who these folks are, but what their program is going to be about, because it isn't going to be the same as and I think some people think this. We're going to have Eric Lovely. We're used to Eric and Charlie, but that's not what we're doing. Except for maybe Karen's, because Karen's found her niche there. This is new programming. These guys are taking their program, their direction, and that's what we're going to talk about tonight. So if you have questions for any of the hosts, 877-342-6673. Brett, I'll take calls on this hour, so go ahead and message us in chat, in Skype chat, if we have somebody who wants to jump in and ask a question of these guys. Tons and tons of news to go over. I did put out a video at 5 a.m. this morning on some current events, and I'll be getting more of that kind of thing out. Once again, Gary is gone. He is off on a project trying to make some donuts so he can pay his bills. He will be back to host his hour on Monday, his Monday night program, starting in July. So we'll have guest hosts in that spot from next Monday until he returns. I apologize last night for the rebroadcast. There was Kirsten was going to come on and host, and she had an emergency come up, and I had all kinds of issues on my end, or I had planned to do this yesterday, but I started too late in trying to put it together. So here we go. I want to welcome to the program the regulars, of course, and now the hosts of Wide Awake News Radio, fill in the blank with their name, Eric Lovely, Woody O'Brien, Karen Quinn Tostado. I'm going to go, so we're just not all talking over each other. Karen knows how much I love multiple person interviews. I abhor them, but I think we all know what we're doing, so we won't jump all over each other. I'm going to go in order of who's up first, and in my case it's me because I'm Tuesday, followed by Woody. But let's jump right to Woody O'Brien. Woody, welcome back to the program. I'm excited to get yours up and running, and I've been telling folks over the last several weeks, it's mainly because of your experience. Your background in finance and economics and Wall Street, and you are literally a stone's throw away from the ever-dreaded Beltway. Woody O'Brien, how are you? Tell us a little bit about yourself, and tell us about your Wednesday night program.
Well, it's great to be with you again, Charlie, and I'm glad I'm not a stone's throw away from the District of Criminals, or I'd spend the whole day throwing stones. I'm actually a good 90 miles away from the White House.
Brother, to me, that's right next door.
Well, compared to where you are, it probably is. But
yeah.
I'm a lifelong economic geek and spent 33 years in Wall Street as a broker, and now retired and doing a little organic farming and writing some investment newsletters, and really pursuing the passion of my life, which is to abolish fiat slavery. That's my website, abolishfiatslavery.com, to get rid of this monetary paradigm of a Ponzi scheme that we have, and all the bad and terrible things that come to everybody on planet Earth as a result of it. I always like to say, if you're not going to change the monetary system of the world, you're really not going to change anything, because the bad guys control the money system, and as long as they have that advantage, they're going to be able to do bad things to all of us.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And you've been guest numerous times on here, and I told you when I reached out for that Wednesday spot, or a spot, we're still working out the timing, that it was your experience, yet it was still your motivation, and motivations are a big deal to me. Talking to you off air, I know that you're giving away your land the use of your land so people can go grow food on your property. And you started talking about that when you made a steal on that house, because it was a steal, that you were going to do it, and then you followed through on it. So that spoke volumes to me.
Well, food, Charlie, food is a gigantic problem in the world because there's 7 billion of us. There's 73 million farmers, and their average age is 61 years old. We have to get a lot of people into calorie production in the next 10 years, or we're all going to be very, very hungry.
I agree. And guys, if you want to jump in, come in. But so your program is going to be focused on economics / into the world?
We're gonna talk about prepping. We're going to talk about economics. We're going to talk about the Fed. We're going to talk about things like Bradley Manning, which may not seem connected to economics, but the military's become one big cult that's away from the rest of society, and it's a cult that's fed by fiat money. Wars are caused by fiat money that could not occur if we had more of a sound money system. And you have things that are icons of that, like Bradley Manning, who's now been in jail for 4 years without a trial. Yeah,
and I don't know if you had a chance to look, but that was one of the topics in the video I did at 5 this morning.
I did see that video, and I thought that was one of the best ones you've ever done. I'm pretty sure I reposted that to my Facebook and said my pal Charlie had knocked that one out of the park.
Well, I appreciate that, and maybe it's the 5 a.m. Fresh coffee rolling, but I read that story too. And Eric, you're military, ex-military. This guy's being railroaded. He's being well, it's not even railroaded. He's being put on ice. And I think we lost Eric for a minute here, but I'll just continue on. Eric, let me ask, are you there? Because my Skype's giving me a lovely.
I am here.
Okay, good. Manning was he's scapegoated. He's sitting in a jail cell. He cut a deal a while ago to avoid some charges. I did a video at that time saying it ain't over, folks. They're going for the rest of this this baby's natural life. They're going to put him away forever if they don't kill him. And and they're saying now they're not going to go for the death penalty. Eric, Woody, and Karen, I've talked about Bubba effect moments in the past where you'll have there will be some kind of uprising or unrest or pushback, and it will be focused and centered around somebody, I believe, like Bradley Manning, who is going to be recognized as a hero, in my opinion. He is a hero in my opinion. There's no order that's unlawful. There's no, how am I saying this? You cannot follow an unlawful order. All this crap that when you go to a theater and they talk about, I am a Navy blah blah, I promise to uphold and defend and obey my superiors. They're leaving out things. They're leaving out part of that code, which is that you do not follow an order that is illegal. That you don't murder people because you were given that order by a superior officer. They cease being a superior officer at that point. I believe he was frustrated. I believe he saw the crimes that were continuing. I believe he understood the lies that were being fed to the people of this country, and his conscience got the better of him, and he dumped the information. And I think he's a hero for it, Eric.
Well, first off, we'll start by saying that if you look at the actual WikiLeaks and the information, they actually only released 1%. That's really all he released of the data that he claimed was damning and condemning. So basically, they're attacking him to destroy him, to eliminate the other 99% of the data that he didn't leak to the public. But yes, here's what people have to understand. People need to be doing something about this because he ultimately did exactly what his oath and his station in office, his commission does. He reported the criminal activity to the highest person on the food chain, which was who? The public, we the people. His oath is to the Constitution and to defend a Republican form of government, and he is supposed to obey his superiors as long as they do not contradict the station of his office, which is to the Constitution. Now, anybody can try to misconstrue that any way they want, but if an officer, anybody, private, what's his nose, he can defy any law, any order.
Charlie McGrath, why do we?
Karen, would you pipe down, please?
I'm in my corner being good.
You are being good. That's not like you.
I got the perfect way to bring Karen in when we come back.
Right on. I'll kick it to you, Woody.
I also I actually do have a comment to make about Bradley Manning and about my buddy Schaefer Cox, who was totally railroaded and is in jail now for like 60 years.
All right. Why don't you bring us back and then kick it over to Karen?
Okay.
Me and Eric will watch you guys.
Well, Karen, let me tell you what's coming your way. Tonight on the national news, they were talking about this hearing that was in front of Congress today, that there were 26,000 sexual assaults in the military.
Yeah.
Wow.
26,000, and about 15% of them went someplace. I think there's a natural tie to Bradley Manning and all these other military problems, which is the system of military justice has got to go, because the system of military justice is a way to intimidate whistleblowers and to obstruct justice and to cover things up. There's no reason if someone is in the military and they're sexually assaulted, that they should be in a justice system run by the military instead of the civilian one. Same thing with Bradley Manning. If Bradley Manning committed a crime, he should be sitting in a civilian jail. The system of military justice has got to go because it's incapable of delivering.
Yeah, unfortunately,
reality,
it's turned into this amalgamation of the UCMJ and executive order. You know, we see this Espionage Act being used like Skittles, but you know, so and then the war on terror, the legislation that has come out of that also plays into it. I mean, so it's the suspension of the Constitution completely, and then the replacement with this governed by crisis law. That is what's got to go. Woody, I agree. Along with these trials under UCMJ for whistleblowers,
you can't have equal protection and have segregated systems of justice. You got to have one system for everybody, because this military one just looks like a cover-up machine.
Oh, well, yeah, I mean, that's really what it is. If the argument that's taking place right now is that because you sign a contract, you waive all constitutional rights and so on and so forth, all civil rights, all any kind of rights, and you are owned property. So what you're having here is a usurpation. When you look at the military code of the UCMJ, when you actually break it down, it is a document prepared completely to defend the military itself and prosecute internally anyone who disagrees and so on and so forth. So on instant face value, it's completely against the law. I mean, militias operated under the guise of the Constitution for decades and decades and decades and never needed a separate version of law.
It just becomes this mechanism for
News Radio, 4th day of June, Tuesday. My name's Charlie McGrath. This is my news hour. We have our other Wide Awake News Radio hosts, Eric Lovely, Woody O'Brien, Karen Quinn Tostado, and of course Gary Hendershot is off doing his techno geek thing. And I feel kind of like Gary tonight because I've got 4 people connected, all to the Rinse Network, and I did it all by my lonesome self. I feel pretty good about that. So if anybody wants to pat me on the back, you can call at 877-342-6673, and I'll graciously take your compliments. If you want to call in with questions for
shameless,
if you want to call in with questions for Woody, Karen, or Eric, or I can be a proxy for Gary Hendershot because I spoke to him a little bit tonight. Call in again, 877-342-6673. If you want to put a question in the chat, I see Bonnie in there and other monitors. They'll make sure that I get the questions. Let's keep the topic going on Bradley Manning. I recorded the video during the break, and I'll post all this on YouTube because I knew there was going to be some good stuff being said during these breaks. Woody, I know you wanted to comment a little bit more about Bradley Manning, and before you do, listening during the break, you're talking about the breakdown of military justice versus civilian justice. Your opinion, it's got to go. I want to disagree slightly, but I'll save it till the next segment. But please give us your thoughts.
Well, you're biased by resume on that one. But I just think you cannot have equal protection of the law and have a segregated system which can be used to teach these young kids that go into the military that you'll either be carried by 6 or judged by 6. And you end up with exactly what we saw tonight on the national news, a bunch of generals trying to explain how there were 26,000 sexual assaults in the military last year, and only about 15% of them ever went anywhere. The whole system of military justice has got to go. We got to have one system. It's civilian. If Bradley Manning broke a law, he should be in a civilian prison. He should be judged by civilian jurors. This is a system which is basically built around the need to cover up things. And you cannot have equal justice under the law. You can't do what the Constitution requires and basically have this set of kangaroo courts where the facts aren't really allowed to come out, and you can't even accuse an officer of something without proof. It's an absurd system, and we could get Bradley Manning freed, and that system would still exist. That system has got to go.
Karen, I know you had something you wanted to come in with on that. Karen Quintostato, Friday night, 6 o'clock West, 9 o'clock East. Karen's Corner. It's going to continue as is. Just it's going to be an hour-long program. Karen, continue.
Well, it's going to change a little bit, though, Charlie. Actually,
bring it out. Break it down, then. You know what? Tell us about the program first. We have about 3 minutes left in this segment. Tell us about your program, and then we'll pick up on the question. I know you have an experience with other individuals who've been persecuted in the same way Manning is. So please continue.
Well. Okay, my program on Fridays now is going to be, I'm not going to schedule guests, at least for the whole month of June. What I am going to do is read from some of the books that have really affected me. I'm going to ask questions, and I'm going to start looking really at what we can do, and I'm also really wanting to have people call in and answer and tell me what they're doing. What can we do? What do you think about this? And Woody, when you're talking about the military tribunals, I personally think that until we completely dismantle the military-industrial complex and stop allowing ourselves and our world to be held hostage by it, we'll get more of the same. We've got to overcome our belief in authority and break it down to, authority is basically who pays the most money. And right now, that's the bankers. We have to think outside of the box. And I know Schaefer Cox, who some of the listeners will recognize, who was up in Alaska. He had a 300-man militia. He was young, he was cocky, he was a bit too cocky, but he was right on. He's a good friend of Michael Badnarik. He was part of Continental Congress 2009 to 2011. I'm not sure what is happening with that now, but he is a man who was standing up for freedom and now has 60 years, until we also see that the judges take a separate vow to honor the corporate constitution. Now they're going to go and take DNA blood from all prisoners. Obama just gave himself a raise. There are a lot of things that we're not tying together as we continue to argue with each other. So my program is changing, and I'm hoping that we do get callers. And I'm also going to be looking more into quantum physics and what energy can do, and the power of water, which I feel is very seriously overlooked and underestimated. So
I like water. Water is one of my favorite drinks.
Well, water also makes up your body anywhere from 70 to 90% during our lives, and water has memory. And look at how we're destroying the water in the planet. And actually also, how many of us honor our bodies or the water within it? If you talk about something having a memory and you can actually photograph it, and more information is out there how it does retain and hold that memory. Maybe if we clean up our own water, we can start to clean up the world. Yeah. I don't know, but it's another avenue I'm going down. I got lots of videos.
You know what? I'm excited, Karen, and you and I've talked extensively off air. And caller, I know you're holding on from Oklahoma. We're going to go to you right after the break. There's not enough time to give you justice on this call, so we will go to you right after the break. Karen, your programming is always obviously different. It's different than mine. It's different than what we've run with. And, it's kind of like the alternative energy hour is different than the topics we usually cover that used to be that first hour on Monday. And honestly, you know that some of the stuff that you cover is just completely blows my mind. I don't understand it. I don't get it. But I do like the fact that you're bringing that different aspect of the program. And there's stuff that I thought was bunk that you've talked about that you've convinced me that it isn't. So I'm excited to get Karen's Corner. We're still calling it that, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, I figure I'll just kind of stay in the corner and see who shows up.
Stay in the corner and behave, Karen Quintostato. We're going to be back with more Wide Awake News Radio in just a minute with Karen, Eric, Woody, and a caller from Oklahoma. It's going to be interesting because they just got hit with another batch of tornadoes, and I'll update you on the fund drive for Oklahoma. I have found a place that this doe is going to. We'll be right back. Hang tight.
You're listening to Charlie nationwide and worldwide.
Radio, Charlie McGrath, Eric Lovely, Karen Tostada, Woody O'Brien, a couple of callers on the line. So let's get into our first call. Is going to be from Oklahoma. He's been holding the longest. I'm going to say the name wrong. Sohaib from Oklahoma. Tell me how I say your name correctly, sir. Ma'am. Whatever.
Sir, you got it.
I got it?
Thank
right?
you very much. You got it right, sir.
Right
Thank
on,
you
man.
very much. Thank you again for taking my call, Wide Awake Radio. Love the show.
Thanks,
A
buddy.
huge fan. I just had a question.
Yes, sir.
You didn't notice the tornadoes and everything. Have you guys, I've been doing some research and digging, and HAARP, the weather modification
Oh, yes, sir.
in the Alaska, Anchorage, Alaska. Is there any foul play in that? Because they used it in Katrina, Hurricane Sandy, because that tornado that formed in Moore happened under 16 seconds and it was 17 miles long. And then just recently, a couple of days ago in Tulsa, Oklahoma, just a wall cloud and the rotation, and it became into an E2 tornado, did some damage in Broken Arrow, Oklahoma.
Right.
But just a question, that's all.
All right, I'm going to give it to each one of the guys because we've all heard of HAARP. We've all talked a little bit about HAARP. I know that weather modification is real, and I'll go to Woody first on this because they trade weather futures, and there's money to be made here. The question, I guess, is do you think it's involved in these tornadoes, Katrina, these kind of things? In essence, are they false flag events? I got a hard time with it, and it isn't because people haven't tried to make a case on it. It's just that I guess maybe my mind isn't ready for HAARP attacking the people of this country. But I've learned a lot of things over the last several years, and that is to do not form an opinion that is absolute. Woody O'Brien.
Yeah, I think it's certainly a possibility that HAARP is in play in some of these. The only Occam's razor that I can say I feel strongly confident that HAARP was involved in was the Haiti earthquake, because Halliburton had a big oil find off the
Yes.
coast of Haiti, and there was containers marked Haiti Relief in Paris Island,
Ready to go.
Carolina, ready to go beforehand.
Yeah.
Some of these other tidal waves and other things, I think you can't rule it in, you can't rule it out.
It seems simpler.
Modification is real.
It seems simpler. The technology, as it's been explained to me, Eric Lovely, seems simpler to facilitate an earthquake. That to me seems more feasible than a weather system. Am I wrong?
Actually, actually. But because my secondary nature of what I study in school and college when in quantum physics and looking at any number of aspects, the type of particles that they put into the air with the benzene and the other aluminum or quasi-aluminum based products they put into the air, if you ionize those and you can excite those particular particulate matter within the air, if you ionize those, okay, because every energy form, it's all based on liquid quantum physics. Everything that you see is all liquid. There's no such thing as a solid. So in its particular liquid state in open air liquid fluency, when you excite these particles, you cause the particles to vibrate. Now, all storms and energies that really go on is really based on static electricity. As the Earth rotates in one direction and the sky rotates in other directions around it, you create what's called static discharge, which generates lightning, but it also generates storms, and it generates the energy that these cyclones actually draw from and create larger and larger mass power.
Got it.
So technically, if you used HAARP at the exact moment as the storm, well, your high pressure is crashing and your low pressure is rising over top of the other. If you excite those particles at that moment, can you supply the energy necessary for a storm to suck off of and turn into a Category 5
Superstorm.
tornado. Yes, the possibility is there. It is very much there to do anything from create tidal waves to create earthquakes to actually change the sky's color and rain ionized particles out of the sky onto a population. If you look at the work where the actual creator of this, which, you know, we can all go in time.
Okay, Eric just kind of went digital on us there. The bunker locale is temperamental sometimes. Karen, let me go to you on HAARP. I listen to what Eric said and it makes sense and I get it. They're pumping particles in the air and they're using high frequency radio waves that excite these particles. Again, it seems something that would be a lot more easy to facilitate in a more pinpoint, bounce it off the ionosphere, get it into Haiti, get it into Iraq, or Afghanistan, or wherever. But the storm thing that he's talking about, just by the nature of high pressure, low pressure coming together, and then stoking, seeding, expanding the storm, seems like it's a lot more difficult procedure. Karen, your thoughts?
Well, in their own documents, and I put a link in the chat room, the United States wants to own the weather by 2025. So when you consider in their own documents, and they want to use weather as a force multiplier, they actually made it rain on the Ho Chi Minh Trail in order to facilitate supposedly. Well, yeah, I mean, they did make it rain, and when I talk to people like Dane Whittington, and I talk to Rosalind Peterson, well, no, Rosalind doesn't say this, but Deborah Tavares definitely would. Yeah. There are people who believe there is no longer any natural weather. Now, I'm not prepared to totally go there, although I do try to keep an open mind because I see these chemtrails, heavy chemtrails, and I know also that some of these chemicals are put up there so that HAARP can bounce rays off of them. So whenever we have a big earthquake, and everybody is upset, my question is, why aren't we looking more at HAARP? There are between 18 and 21 of these HAARP facilities all around the world. Why aren't we looking at the military-industrial complex? Yeah. Why are we just thinking this is natural when if they want to own it by 2025, come on, it's 2013.
Well, again, we're trading this. This is, and to me, if you want proof of something, look at money. Because if it can be traded, if it can be manipulated, if it can be a profit be made on it, and can be patented and owned, guess what? It's not a conspiracy. It's happening. Sam, does that answer your question? Did you have anything more for the guys and Karen and Gal? The guys and Gal.
That was awesome. Thank you, guys. I just have another question. Is the path of the tornado, if you look at the XL pipeline that's been approved, I think we should impeach Obama, impeach Congress, and impeach Senate for letting that happen. But that's just my,
I share your opinion on I share the opinion on handing out impeachments like paper towels. I'm all for that.
I understand that.
All right, man. Well, I appreciate the call, and I'm gonna jump because
thank you very much.
You bet. Thank you. We got Meat on the line. Meat, come on board. Let me say this real quick to everybody, though. The people who have donated to the Oklahoma Relief Fund that Wide Awake News Radio has put together, I want to thank everybody, and everybody deserves a great big a big hug from Wide Awake News Radio. We have everything from $3 to people wanting to give away property or free rent for folks who've been displaced, to people generating or who will generate websites in order for businesses to recover from this disaster. And everybody that has responded, I can't thank you guys enough. I'm going to put a link in the chat room right now. I'm assuming that if you're one of the contributors, you're in there, of where this fund's going, and I will elaborate more in a video on why I picked them. They're a small, local, 100-member community church that has serviced hundreds and hundreds of folks in Oklahoma, from everything from going and buying them food to buying their first month rent. I've had conversations with the folks at this church. It's a non-denominational Christian, non-denominational Christian church, but they help everybody, and they certainly have stepped outside of their flock, if you will, to take on as much as they can. I'm guaranteed that 100% of what we send them will end up in the hands of the people who need it. This information, like I said, on this church will be put on the website under the disaster relief. Contact information will be there, as well as if you've donated anything, time, effort, whatever, you will have your initials there, and then what your contribution was, so you can see every penny is going there, and we will follow up and make sure that every penny is went to the people who need it. So thank you everybody very much for that. We're going to run it tentatively through the end of this week. If the need still is there, which I have a hunch it's going to be, we will continue to facilitate getting material, money, whatever you guys want to send. We'll continue getting it down there. And again, if somebody sees this link and they go to this church and check it out, you want to do some research on your own, feel free to hit me with what you find there. I've investigated them very, very thoroughly, and I feel confident that your money's being well spent. Meat Dog, I talk too much, so hang tight. We're going to be back. Is this the final segment? Oh my gosh, with Karen, Eric, and Woody, and Meat Dog from the chat room. We'll be right back. Of tonight's Wide Awake News Radio with me, your host Charlie McGrath, and our host lineup, Karen, Eric, Woody, and Woody, or excuse me, Eric just had to leave us. He had some business to take care of. And we talked about Eric's program and what he's going to be covering over the last week or so people should be fairly familiar with that. But he's certainly going to get a lot more into the necessity of community, the necessity of prep, and he's going to do, I think, a lot more educational type training on his hours. So I'm excited for him to get rolling, because he really is. I really do pigeonhole him when he's on with me. Currently about geopolitical, we usually go down that road, and he's got a lot more information to give, and I think it's going to be an excellent hour. I did talk to Gary Hendershot. Gary Hendershot's listening on his iPad right now, somewhere out there in the world, making money hand over fist, I hope. And Gary's program, I want to reiterate this. He does the Smart Scarecrow Alternative Energy Hour every Monday night, or was doing it. That is going to completely change. That's going to be probably the biggest change of all. His is going to be a more news-based program, and if you're not checking out his What Ticked Off Scarecrow this week on Krabby Dog Tricks, or you can find it on wideawakenews.com, then you got to see it. They're 20 minutes long typically. But the information he gives is outstanding, and the way he gives it in his southern way is very, very compelling, and you start watching it and I guarantee that you'll be back every week. So Gary Hendershot's program, Wide Awake News Radio with Gary Hendershot, will begin in July. We'll have guest hosts between now and then. Meat Dog, you've been holding for a long time, buddy. What's on your mind, sir?
Well, before I do my spiel, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for all the great videos you produced, for these fine hours of talk radio that you provided, and the great guests that you have on tonight and that you've had over the years. I want to thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And I want to wish you much luck in your future endeavors. I'm going to miss you, man.
Well, I ain't going anywhere, buddy. I ain't going anywhere. We're still Wide Awake News Radio. I'll be here every Tuesday, probably more. Even though I say I won't be, I will be. I mean, everybody knows that. And
okay.
So I'm not going anywhere. You're going to get your fill.
Okay, great. If I would like to plug a website. I'm a member of DC911truth.org, and we plan events to, spread the word about, 9/11 being an inside job.
Yeah.
We're having a meeting this coming Friday in Bethesda, so just go to DC911truth.org, and we have a seminar. We're in the beginning stages of planning a seminar sometime in early September, having a panel discussion about 9/11 truth.
Right on, man. So it's DC911truth.org, and you have an event coming up this weekend.
Yes, Friday evening at Matt and Elaine Sullivan's house. Anybody can show up. Just go to DC911truth.org and have the directions to get there. Anybody's welcome to come in the DC metro area or wherever you want to come from. And in September sometime, we have an event planned about 9/11 Truth, a panel discussion. And thank you for letting me do that. I want to throw out mental chew toy here, supposition that I think about Julian Assange and WikiLeaks, and I think that the whole thing is a CIA op. I think the WikiLeaks thing. I think if Manning actually disseminated that information, I think he's a dupe. I had a top secret clearance in the Army, and I had nowhere my access to any kind of information was extremely limited. I would have made sergeant, but I had to, I got busted once or twice for drinking too much. But at any rate, though, I did have a top secret clearance.
Yeah.
And I don't know, and so much of the information that he released wasn't of any real consequence, and he poo-pooed 9/11 truthers. If Assange was such a great threat, he would have been eliminated a long time ago, and his website would have been shut down. So and there's some indications that Assange had links with Australian intelligence. So that's just my take on it. I could be wrong. I could be, maybe my tinfoil hat fell off. I don't know.
Let's get these.
What's y'all's opinion on that?
Well, let me kick it to the guys here and meet. First of all, one more time, DC911truth.org event this weekend. Check out the website. Meet. I appreciate your years of being in that chat room every single night. Karen, you heard him. What do you think?
Well, it's so hard to tell. I do know that in the past, Al and I were looking at it a bit, and Assange went to a school with other children into this real blonde, blue-eyed, bleach your hair, kind of a cult. Yeah, it definitely looked like it could be a cult. I don't know what the truth is about him. I mean, when you look at the fact that our government is into mind control and the biggest drug and gun running corporation on the planet, I mean, what aren't they into? What can't they infiltrate? We just have to start waking up.
Yeah, it is hard. And meat, as I'm sure you know, everything is a rabbit hole. Right, wrong, otherwise indifferent. Everything that is uttered on independent media and or established so-called establishment media is a rabbit hole that we can go down. And you know what? I've heard that argument of the plant, so what I have to do is look at the information that's come out. Namely some of the things that show the crimes that have been committed. And that information stands regardless of how we got it. It does stand. I do believe, I believe PFC Manning had access just by his MOS to this information, and he dumped it because of conscience. I think it would be very, very hard for this long of a period of time to keep somebody, drugged up Sirhan style and keeping with the same tagline. Woody, your thoughts on this? I mean, do you see a smoking gun or a rat in this?
No, I think in this one it's far more likely that there's CIA disinformation that Julian Assange is CIA in order to destroy his credibility, in order to injure Manning's credibility. I think if Julian Assange is somehow connected to intelligence networks, he should win an Academy Award because he's the best actor in human history.
Right.
And if it comes out that he is, I'm going to retire from the prediction business because I think anybody who has to be hidden in an embassy, who has to fight extradition,
lives in Ecuador,
on baloney, sex charges. I think he's the real deal. And to me, this idea that they're going to run an op that is that complex, that
for this long,
releases harmful information that hurts the military-industrial complex. To me, that there's no Occam's razor in that scenario at all.
I got to agree with that, only because of what you said about the damaging information and the number of people that are taking notice to the positive, at least from our perspective, of what's happening with Assange, with Bradley Manning. I don't know,
Charlie. That one video, Collateral Murder.
Yes.
That turned more neocon artists into libertarians than any piece of film in human history. And I just don't see an intelligence agency allowing that to get out as a part of some thought control.
And let's not forget, even if Woody and I are both wrong, and it is 100% controlled, top to bottom. The fact that that video came out is what I focus on. I focus on the information.
Well, they have to throw some red meat out there, though.
No. I'm not. I'm not saying that questioning everything isn't important. I think it's mandatory. So,
and you know what? There's always a mixing of the truth with a lie, yes, to make the lie seem more truthy. And it's certainly within the realm.
30 years on Wall Street. 30 years on Wall Street, highly educated to the hilt, and he just dropped a truthy on us.
I think, it's certainly within the realm of possibility, but that's one. I mean, it's easy for me to go, they used HAARP in Haiti because there was a release slides ready to go, and they found a huge oil find. That one, it's easy for me to believe in chemtrails because I can look up in the air, but
sure.
That one's a little bit of a stretch.
Well, Haiti or an event like that is a 30-second event. I'm looking at the time span. I'm looking at what this guy's went through, at least what we've been shown that he's went through. And more importantly, I'm looking at a kid that's in a black hole on some military base, that if he's going along with a plot of some sort or he's a dupe, then they've had him on some hardcore drugs to keep him down for this amount of time. And again, it all becomes irrelevant when you look at the information. The information that came out is damning, and it has changed minds. Meat Dog.
Right.
Go ahead, Karen.
But the CIA would like nothing better than to make our military look bad anyway, because it enrages the Muslims even more. So it all fits in.
Yeah, it's a good theory, and like I said, I applaud you questioning everything. I mean, I think that's important.
But before I leave, I want to recommend a book. It's called The Expendable Elite, and it's about this Green Beret who if you get him as a guest, The Expendable Elite is his book. I haven't vapor lock on his name, but basically he found out that the CIA was supplying armaments to the communist insurgents that he was fighting on the Cambodian border.
All right.
The Expendable Elite. If you can get him on there.
I will. I'll check out the book after the program. I'll do a search for it. And Meat, I appreciate again you showing up every single night, and I appreciate your call.
Thank you.
All right, brother.
And great chat room too. Thank you.
All right, man. All right, Karen, wrap us up. We got about a minute left, and you've talked the least because you're hiding in your corner.
Well, I'm going to be more in my corner. I want to remind folks that the United We Strike Marathon is Saturday. It's probably going to be the last one. I'm stepping back from that. I'm just going to be doing the hour program here. It doesn't mean that I've stopped thinking about United We Strike or that I've stopped promoting peaceful resistance on the 15th and hopefully peaceful resistance from everyone during the 4th of July weekend. And just think for yourselves, folks. Woody, I do think that HAARP was used for the hurricane in Katrina. And also in Katrina, I believe it was used in Haiti. I believe that until enough of us say, wait just a minute here, what the frack is the government really up to, and step back, we won't know. So that's why we're here.
Karen Quinn Tostado, Woody O'Brien. Let me run down the schedule one more time. Gary Hendershot Monday, Charlie McGrath Tuesday, Woody O'Brien Wednesday, Eric Lovely Thursday, and Karen Quinn Tostado. All programs start at 6 o'clock West, 9 o'clock East. Guys, we appreciate your understanding, our focusing, our redoubling, and our refocusing of our message. That's what this is about, not a cut in programming, not a cut in content. The content will be there. It'll be better. It'll be more crisp, more concise. Guys, I look forward to kicking off this new lineup, and thank you very much for joining me tonight.